This is a special broadcast of Indie News. This is the Sunday night special with What is a Kickstarter as the theme. As you guys know, we spend a lot of time on Indie Advocates talking about Kickstarters. But what exactly is a Kickstarter, or what is a Kickstarter platform? That's a question that not everyone might know. We do spend a lot of time on our site talking about it, but not everyone is familiar with what Kickstarters are and what their potential are. And as you guys can see, we cover a lot of Kickstarters. But to learn what Kickstarter really is, I think that we actually have to go to the source, Kickstarter itself. And if we look really quickly, and this was something that had come up recently when I was talking to a fellow creator, we see that Kickstarter has had 14 million backers. It's at 146,000 funded projects plus, and it has 3,617 live projects. Now, if you go into it, you can find different groups. There are art projects, there's comic and illustration, games, food craft, music, film, design, and tech. But what is Kickstarter? If we go to their About section, they'll give us a whole bunch of little information. I think the best thing that sums it up right here, right now, is Kickstarter helps artists, musicians, filmmakers, designers, and other creators find resource and support they need to make their ideas become a reality, or ideas to reality. To date, tens of thousands of creative projects, big and small, have come to life with the support of the Kickstarter community. So their community is, Kickstarter is an enormous global community built around creativity and creative projects. Over 10 million people from every continent on Earth have backed a Kickstarter project. Some of those projects from influential artists like De La Soul or Marina Abramovic, and I apologize for pronouncing that one wrong. Most come from amazingly creative people you probably haven't heard of, from Grandma Pearl to indie filmmakers to the band down the street. Every artist, filmmaker, designer, developer, and creator on Kickstarter has complete creative control of their work and opportunity to share in the vibrant community of backers. Now, it's important right here to understand they haven't even mentioned comic books. A lot of people know Kickstarter is a comic book place, and everyone assumes it is, but it's not. There is a comic book section, I'm not going to lie. Finally started. And years ago, without Kickstarter, less comic books were being made. And that's just the truth. The printing costs were much higher. Things weren't getting developed as quickly as they are. And now, with all what's going on with Kickstarter, there have been all these amazing projects that not only we talk about, but have been talked about. And I mean, the topics range. You guys can see that there are some erotic books now making its line that are getting funded now. You have the quality smut comics, but you also have more serious comic books. And you have some serious people making a difference on Kickstarter with their different opportunities and different ideas for a comic book. I myself have been involved with Monsters, Mentor Search, Fetish Babies, Projects of Earth Monsters, Jax the Andersin. So I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm missing a book right here. Oh, Aftermath. I mean, no, Mentor Search. Oh, the original Fetish Babies. So, oops. Here we go. And I'm on Kickstarter right now. Not only am I on Kickstarter right now at 47%, but I've also been there. You guys can see all the different things. I was 310% funded on this one, 118, 118, and 126 down here. I've roughly made over $5,000 just quickly looking at this and eyeballing it on Kickstarter. And without that, I wouldn't be able to bring all the projects I do and go to every cons and all that, because it's not just about printing, but art. Each one of these projects costs money to make. None of it's free, and being able to create these things is an amazing opportunity because Kickstarter has allowed me to have money. For all my books, we came solely for printing costs. And when we had extra, it wound up going into a future project. That's why in Fetish Babies Aftermath, we needed less money because we had some left over that we put towards art. So it wound up working. And Mentor Search made more than we expected. And even with Monsters, it's the art it's paid for. That's how I use Kickstarter. Some people use Kickstarter solely for what's being called pre-order. So a pre-order campaign like I'm running right now at Monsters means that you're just buying the book. So if you want to buy a book, you can come over here, like Monster Betrayal, free domestic shipping, $10, which is basically there. Now, here's the argument. A lot of people think that a comic book should be priced like it is at a table. And then there's an argument about what a comic book should be priced. This is where it gets kind of complicated now with what Kickstarter is. Some people think comic book Kickstarter should only be priced to sell for what it is. So a comic book, they'd argue I should only charge $5 and then charge for shipping. Now, shipping between $4 or $5 would still make it $10, but that's where it's become. There's this idea that on Kickstarter, comic books have to be priced like Marvel and DC books. That's not necessarily true. And the argument is that over here in the other tiers, you should make these more expensive to make the money over here to get fans to back this. And it gets confusing. The truth is, Kickstarter is meant to help creators raise money for their projects. And that's the truth. Most of my books, I will overprice a little bit, but it's also with the understanding that I'm trying to do something and you guys are here to help me. And I appreciate that help, truly. And I think a lot of other creators appreciate that help from that. And it's health to the project, though. It's a good word. It makes the projects healthy because this allowed an opportunity for more books to be made, and it also opened the door for more publishers to begin to publish comic books. It really changed comic books having Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all those platforms come up. I like Kickstarter best because it gives rewards instantly to people who back the projects. And then you go to the creator handbook, there are some things, and I won't go over everything. So obviously, if you want to make a Kickstarter, it's very complicated. We'll go over the very basics, but in it you can find getting started, funding, fulfillment, telling your story, promotion, further reading, building rewards, and communicating with backers. And I'm about to write a personal message to everyone who's backed the recent Kickstarter, Monster Kickstarter, which you guys should check out. It's awesome Kickstarter, by the way. But more importantly, it's about we welcome and support projects in a variety of categories: art, comics, crafts, dance, design, fashion, film and video, food, games, journalism, music, photography, publishing, technology, and theater. Here are 5 rules every Kickstarter must follow. Projects must create something to share with others. Kickstarter can be used for all sorts of things: arts, gadgets, events, etc. But every project needs to plan on creating and sharing it with the world. At some point, the creator should be able to say, "It's finished. Here is what we created. Enjoy." Projects must be honest and clearly presented. There is actually built on trust and communication. And this is something that people have argued has been weakened in the last couple of years because, especially in comic books, people have argued that there are creators out there who are cashing in or not delivering and not doing this and not doing that. And that's unfortunately a risk of Kickstarter. I don't know if there's a clear path to knowing if you should or shouldn't back someone without knowing the person. And James Ross says, disagree with competitive pricing to Marvel and DC. Backers should understand they are supporting an indie creator to bring a new piece of art into the world that can be quirky and doesn't have the appeal to be a mainstream voice like the Marvel and DC book. This is written by James Ross in our Facebook Live video right now, chat room. And I agree with James. I don't think Kickstarter should be a competitive platform. And I think some people argue it's being taken advantage of that way. I won't say it's being taken advantage of, but I do think it's setting this weird feeling that if you go to any other sector, excuse me, on Kickstarter, all the Kickstarters are overpriced. You're not getting a deal. Kickstarter is not a deal platform. There are some creators who are trying to make it a deal platform, to make it their store, basically making it their store. And I don't necessarily, Bob Sally had pointed out to me that, he could have his store. Great. That'd be fantastic. And he does have a store where he sells his book out of Source Point Press right now. But Kickstarter gets you this global market. So having a pre-order book's kind of a good thing, being able to reach an audience that you couldn't reach on the Comic-Con highway and you can't reach with just having a website. And I get that. I do. And Bob Sally changed my mind entirely about that. And I definitely appreciated what Bob Sally had said. And I've seen other creators do fantastic. Dirk Manning does an amazing thing where every time Dirk Manning's on the platform, he basically gives back. Like if he makes over, he adds to the project. And I don't think he's profited on any single one of his Kickstarters to date yet because he gives so much back to the fans. And I think really, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Kickstarter is about community. We're here to bring projects to life and also build a community. And if you have a reputation that's solid, I think you can ask for a little bit more. I do think, and I'd said this on Kickstarter Talk today as I filmed the episode today, or Kickstarter Last Rights, I apologize, that I did get a book one time. I think it was like 20 pages or like 16 pages. And it was, I paid $10 and I felt ripped off. And that does happen. And that's, you know, you want to support people, but you also want to get something for your money. And I think that's where you have to be, like, projects must be honest and clearly presented. You have to be able to tell people what you're building and don't mislead people or misrepresent facts. I do think that if you're charging $10 for a book, it better be ready. And I do think that there are some Kickstarters out there that aren't ready to be charged for money. But that doesn't mean just because there are a few people out there, we go ahead and we call Kickstarter a bad platform. It's certainly not. Tom's with us. Tom Rappak, he says, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Tom. Just let me know how to pronounce it right. What's up with some of these Lady Death getting like 300 grand when they're only asking for 15? That's fans. Okay, so to answer that question, it's as simple as this. You launch a Kickstarter and then people back it. Why should anyone be shamed for doing really well on a Kickstarter? And it goes to the whole sexuality, and that's a whole different video that we could talk about sexuality and cheesecake and fan service and all that. We're not going to go into that today. People are arguing that these big names, Rapka. Am I saying that? Rapka? I hope I'm getting that right, Tom. That's Tom's last name. He showed me how to say it. Hopefully I'm getting it right now. But you know what? God bless him. You know, why should anyone be mad at him? And I do hear that. I hear people getting mad. Oh, well, you know, I have heard people go, my Kickstarter can't survive because it can't compete with people like the creator of Blah. And I'm not going to yell out a name, but we're just going to call it Blah Comic. And Blah Comic had this person who's famous, and it's not fair. Well, that's your problem. Kickstarter's not a competitive market. Why are you worried about what they're doing? And we're going to go over that in a minute because I do see a lot of mistakes being made. And I'll look at my own Kickstarters and we'll talk about it that way so we could do that. And James Ross says, it looks like it's using the same marketing strategy as an anthology. That Lady Death Kickstarter has dozens of guest cover artists. All those artists will promote the project on their own social media. In an anthology project, everyone in the anthology promotes the project. That's more eyeballs and more backers. Absolutely right, James Ross. I completely agree with that. Oh, Tom said he's not mad. He wants to know how. It's about building a community. That's a good question, Tom. How does he make $300,000 when he only asked for $15K? And you guys saw my numbers. My numbers aren't stellar. I don't ask for a lot either. And Chuck Pino pointed out that I don't advocate for myself the way I should. And I have to change that about myself. I have to get more rambunctious in the way that I promote myself. And I have to get more, loud. Loud would be the word. I have to stop shying away from who I am as a creator and stop acting like I can't promote myself and advocate for myself, because I do have a bad tendency to want to advocate for people more than me. And I think that's what it comes down to, Tom, is that you have to, when we're getting to be creators and we go to something like this, we have to be ready to be out there and kind of annoy people a little bit, like a commercial annoys people. But you know what commercials do? They work. The more you talk about something, the more people back it. And I have to become more passionate about who I am. I'm always better at being passionate for other people, but that's something as a life goal right now, is to be able to talk about myself the same way I talk about others. And I think I've deserved the right. And I think that's what it comes down to, building that community. Projects can't fundraise for charity, which is kind of weird because I do see it. I'm personally right now part of one that is part of a charity, so I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore, or if they just turn their backs on it. It's, again, a rule that's not really being followed. projects can't offer equity, and that means that you can't order a share in something, which is understandable, auto ownership. And then there are some prohibited terms or items, which I, again, have seen people do certain things. Some of those things include contests, energy, food and drinks, offensive materials. But then again, what's offensive? And there's obvious, but then you can get into less obvious. Offering financial money processing, credit card service, financial intermediaries, or cash equivalent instruments. So political fundraising, pornographic material. See, pornographic, again, what is pornographic? Projects cannot promote discrimination, bigotry, or intolerance towards marginalized groups. Projects that share things that already exist or repackaged a previously created product. See, that's weird. What about when people make trade backs? So, like some of these things do, and the other ones are a little more obvious at the bottom, but it does raise questions, and there is a kind of a blurred line of what's allowed, because remember, they say that they won't do pornograph, and then on our first page when we first started this, we saw the smut books. So like, where is that line? So that I think that gets confused. But here are some truths about Kickstarter. It is a platform meant to kickstart. No matter what anyone says, it is meant for creators to go on to raise money to bring their project to life. How you price things, and let's take a look. We'll go to my first Kickstarter, and we're going to rip me apart in this because I don't want to do it to anyone else, and I'll do it like I would do it to anyone else, and we're going to look at it. So here's the first time I came to Kickstarter, and I charged $5 for a wallpaper. I charged $10 for a PDF, and I charged $15 for a comic book. I had 30 backers for the first issue. I have never made as much money as I did on this project and any other project. And I backed off. I felt intimidated by the pressure of everyone else saying that I'd overpriced my book. And mind you, this is one of my most successful Kickstarters. Now, mind you, in pricing this book so highly, I also understood what it took to create this book. We had one of the best artists in the world come on board, Satine Zilia, and we had some amazing work done. Here she is. We had some great stuff going on with it. It was an exciting thing. We offered T-shirts for the first time, special printed T-shirts. Let's see. Tom says, is it allowed if you get more money than your goal and you hook everyone up properly and very good, and there's money left over, can you legally use that for rent or studio? Well, okay, legally speaking, there's no rule. They don't tell you how to spend that money. As long as you fulfill everything, you can do whatever you want. But let's not forget that he could also pay himself. If he does have extra money left over, he should be able to pay himself, pay all the creators involved, and profit sharing. Shouldn't some of the other creators get sort of the profits if the Kickstarter is profitable? You would have to go case by case in that situation to see what they're doing. I know me as a creator, if I had a Kickstarter and somehow it raised $300,000 and I didn't kill myself with shipping, which, remember, shipping is a very evil thing, and I can go over that in just a few minutes. If you manage to do that, and you have, let's say 300,000, realistically, I think after shipping and all that, and after the special things that they make, and everyone takes away their money, let's say that $300,000 gives $20,000 extra, and everyone's been paid. Everyone has made their profit share, and that's just pure profit now, $20,000. I think the creator, as a creator, I would reinvest in the next book. But I keep using Kickstarter. That's another thing is people talk about, when shouldn't you be using Kickstarter right now? Is someone too big to use Kickstarter? And these are all interesting questions. And again, it comes down to the community. If someone's backing people, stop being jealous of what other people are doing and worry about what you're doing. And that's the honest God's truth. This is about community. If someone's willing to support people to do something that they want to do and they have an idea, then that's between them and that community. It's not for any of us to judge or talk about. And that's the truth, because that's what Kickstarter is. They had an idea. They wanted to make it come to life. They went to Kickstarter. They didn't do anything wrong. Now, one of the big things, and I'll talk about this right now, that was horribly done by me is I don't have any art for the project. I held back a lot of the art. You see this Carlos Villas art, which was a part of it, but I didn't really showcase any art. I did a horrible job with that. I talked about the philosophy behind the story, you know, and I overpriced things, and I overpriced them because I needed money to make this happen. I used this to kickstart this comic book, and I'll tell you the truth. We raised, what did we raise? $2,521. And today, my printing costs, and I'll give you guys the truth, my printing cost came out to about $2,000, and I got 1,000 issues. Unfortunately, Irma ruined a lot of issues, and I'm dealing with insurance companies, and I'm never going to get them back. It's just that simple. And I don't suggest making 1,000 issues. Despite everyone who warned me not to, I decided I needed 1,000 issues. What I should have done was gotten a fewer issues and built the audience and gone to cons and done it right. I should have gotten, but there was a price. There was a price set for doing the 1,000 books. I was able to get the books printed for around, with shipping, everything said and done, I think it's $2 an issue, not counting art, of course. But just printed book costs $2 each. So I sold them at my table for $10 the first year, and we made money. We made money. People, when you see the art in the book, and I can actually show you the art in the book a little bit. We're playing, I think, this video right here. I actually showed some of it. But, I mean, you have to, I mean, I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, here's some of the art. I'm trying to remember for this, and you guys can see we didn't show enough of the art. We showed some of the art, but I didn't do it, and that was a mistake. You want to do a good video, and I thought the video was good. I liked it, and we did best. This is my best Kickstarter to date. And this is when I was unashamed, and I didn't let people make me feel bad for asking for money. And that's weird. Some of us do. I feel bad coming to Kickstarter for asking for money. I wish I could do these books without having to ask anyone for money. But I do need to. And a lot of creators need to. And I think that when you have other creators going around saying, oh, they're overcharging and all that, it's not fair. Because a lot of those creators saying that have established themselves, and you can go back and trace their original Kickstarters to see them doing overpriced books, as they would call it. But because they've hit a certain spot, they forget about those days. So don't judge people, is what I'm trying to say. Support people. If you don't want to, if you don't think the book is worth $10, and I personally think that Fetish Babies was worth $10. I'll be honest with you. I absolutely think Fetish Babies was worth $10. And I sell it now for $5. You can get it on my site for $5. But at the time, I think it was worth 10. I think it was worth 15 because the 15 helped me bring it to life. So now we're talking about the costs, right? So here's the costs. So $2,000 went to printing for $2 an issue. Okay, that left me with $521 to do shipping and to make the T-shirts that I chose to do. The customized T-shirts cost me $20 a shot. So there was a $20 profit left over in it, but then I had to ship it, and the shipping was about $5. This is where I told you shipping can really get you screwed over. Luckily, I had someone being tied up in on stage in issue 2 that really did help. And then we got an ad. So those things were really helpful. And the ad actually fell through, which sucks. But if the ad had gone through, it would have been really helpful. I actually wound up giving the money back to the person because they hit a hard spot, and I felt bad. So that came out of it. And I'm just being honest with you guys to really see what it can be to a Kickstarter. So now $2,500 went to $2,300. Take away 10% for Kickstarter, you had about $200 taken away from Kickstarter. So $2,100, I spent $2,000 on printing. Crap. Now I'm making 11 by 17s. I'm having to make T-shirts. I went out of pocket. Basically, despite it all, and this isn't paying for my time. This wasn't paying for Satane's art. That all came out of my pocket. And Satane's a great artist. I'll be honest with you. Per page was definitely higher than the average indie creator gets. And I think it's worth it. But the book itself had a high production value. I'll tell you that. But again, I felt bad about asking for too much. And that's the one thing, if I have to pass on to you guys, please don't feel bad about doing a Kickstarter. Get yours. And I mean that truly. So my next book was Jax. Jax the Andersin comes up. It's a concept idea. I didn't ask for a lot. I asked for 500 on this book because now by this point I've actually had, or the goal was 750. I had people making me feel bad for asking. And you guys can see, like right now, things have gotten cheaper already. The book in your hands, I kept at 15, which really did help. And again, without that help, I didn't necessarily, because with this, I teamed up with Dave Brown. Dave Brown was the artist, so we're partnered in this book. So I had less production costs with that, but other things still cost money. And I tried to get rid of some of the things I bought, because I overbought T-shirts. And by the way, one little comment about T-shirts. Remember, if you're making a T-shirt and you're brand new, you're kind of asking people to buy a T-shirt for something that they don't necessarily know what it's about yet. So unless you have a really good logo, like Stabby Bunny, Richard Rivera has a great logo. That by itself, without the book, is awesome. People buy just for the logo. I don't necessarily have that yet. I don't have a logo that people want to buy. So I wound up getting stuck with a lot of T-shirts. And again, Hurricane Irma ruined a lot of them, so that became a problem. But in this one, you guys can see I had Have Your Child show up in the book. Someone actually backed it for $100, and I'm hoping to have their child in the book too. We had to delay till 2018, and they're cool with it. I know the supporter who it was, and they just wanted to support me, and they're excited about it. And they're okay with waiting, so that'll be cool when that finally shows up. But then there was the first time I showed a collector's pack. And we wound up sending that. So, I mean, it was exciting. It was. And you guys can see this time around, I added a video of Jax, which I really think helped send it. But again, this became like a vanity project for a lot of people for me, because this was about my son, Jax the Andersin. So, and it was about me. Now, the cool thing about this book is that it actually has given birth to new characters, Cat Dad and Supermom, which will be their own comic book this year. So it did go forward in a unique way. Book 2 will hopefully be out next year. And you guys can see I put on the 7 Kickstarter questions in here, why to back the Kickstarter. We offered the advocating shirt at that point for the first time. And again, this time, I'll be honest, I felt bad asking for money. I had heard people argue, and I started to second guess myself, which was a horrible thing. And then that continued, including it being in the middle of a hurricane when we went to the next Kickstarter project, which became really hard to run because I was on the road, and there was a hurricane coming, and I had the next book of Fetish Babies coming out at the end of the year. We launched Monsters, which became a project of Earth, by the way, which was really cool. But yeah, Monsters. So this was a concept at the time. We were just finishing the art. We had a lot of art ready, and notice that I added art this time around. And again, this time for the book, I lowered it to 10. And that was the pressure. That was me feeling pressure from everyone telling me that I shouldn't be doing it. And that extra $5 that I lost did wind up hurting, because I also included shipping. So there was less profit on it. So I kind of backstepped, and I felt bad about it. Luckily, the art in this project, the creator, CG Gajardo, he's partnering with me, so I was able to take a little bit of hit. The art wasn't that expensive because he's teamed up with me. But I mean, I still didn't have a great concept, despite how much I worked with it. This Kickstarter itself wasn't done as well as I would have liked. I was still trying too much to make these package things, and wasn't focusing enough on the content. I was trying to be too commercial with it, I felt, in this. And you know, we did offer Fetish Babies in it, which was cool, but I really didn't find a rhythm. Now, by the time I got to my next Kickstarter, there was a bit of a change, and I finally kind of felt like I had found my rhythm with Kickstarter. And that was Aftermath. So now by Aftermath, you see I introduced a mega pack, which did well. The only problem I had with it was that a couple people backed out, and we had to scramble to get them new stuff. I don't know if I'd ever do a mega pack again because it was such a pain in the ass for me to get people together. I was just trying to help out other creators, and I'll still try to help out other creators if they want to team up. But I don't know if I'd ever go out of my way to do a mega pack. If I have friends that want to get together and we all cross promote, I'd be happy with that. You'll even see I'm doing that right now in Monsters. But I did the collection here, and I could probably actually show this picture. But again, I was trying to show picture. We showed new art. We showed that. And again, I have this horrible tendency to not show off enough art from inside the book. And this is something from the Fourth Monkey. This is just part of who I was. And I tried to up the team and who the team was. And I even gave a shout out to everyone who's been on the project. And Carlos Villas's art. And we had some leftovers from the other campaigns that we wound up keeping going. And at this one, I went a little bit too far with adding stuff. I felt like it was too much. But there was a lot more art to be shown. And it did well. I mean, it trended over its goal. We made a good amount of money, but we didn't have the same amount of backers, which kind of bothered me. So, it's hard. You give and take. You give and take. Because if I was trying to be competitive and shopping with DC prices, I'd never make the money I made. So that's kind of hard, and I don't suggest you trying to compete with it unless you know what you're doing. And what I mean by know what you're doing is knowing your costs. Shipping, again, will kill you. So by the time I got to Mentor Search, which is the last one I did, and I was fatigued by this point. I had been on Kickstarter. This started off 2018, and we'd had a lot of problems making the book itself. This time around, I used a lot more art than I normally do. I'm just not a fan of giving up too much art, I guess, because I'm afraid to ruin the story for people. So I want you to get the book, and I want you to be excited about the book. So this time I used certain parts, and I showed off the characters we introduced. I talked about Written Sins. I gave Damien there, powerfully promoted. Chuck became our editor in this, which is really cool. He stepped up and took over, and then we had, of course, some Tomato and Satane art in the Kickstarter along with Chris Madden, Carlos Villas, and just exciting. Again, we brought back all these tiers, and this does help. The extra stuff actually does help, but it also makes your project a little clunky. And I have an idea for the next Kickstarter I have that I'm going to use Written Sins to actually showcase some of the rewards to make it easier for people to see. Like if they want to see the rewards, I might make like a art gallery or something, so to reinvent it. So it is hard. You put out as much as you can, but you don't necessarily know. So that was it. That was the last book that I had done until Monsters. So now you fast forward, and Monsters was a little different because the book's been done since January. I just haven't lettered it. I've been really busy this year, so I came into Kickstarter and I did this. And we're in the middle of it right now, 118. I've done a horrible job promoting it because I was on vacation for the first week. You guys can see I've lowered the prices now. There's the Back into the Void, by the way. That's Welcome to the Void. Chuck's got it going on right now on Kickstarter. If you're watching this months after we filmed it, you're going to be like, what is he talking about? Monsters has been out forever. Betrayal of Monsters. But, you see I've added art. I explained how the story came apart and how we actually built it. I showed off a showcase of a gallery for the monsters, and I showed a lot more art. Again, not trying to give away too much of the story, but using some of the stuff from the older book, the first issue. But again, I don't like giving a lot away. That's just me. But the pricing in this has changed, and this is my Kickstarter. And, there's good and bad. I look at it now, and I think I can make improvements. I'm going to be adding stuff to this, obviously. And James Ross is asking me a question. I'll be right with you, James. I just want to finish this. And I changed this. Now, of course, here's the difference now. Now, after that, after being everything I've been through, the reason I called this and I say it right here, a pre-order campaign. is that there are going to be books that are different. I'm going to be launching Heroing by the Hour, which will need to pay for art. So that's not going to be something. And I wanted people to know there's a difference. I want people to know there's a difference between a pre-order campaign I run and a building it up. No, you're fine, James. I'll just be with you in 1 second. Keep the questions coming. So I'm actually going to gear up to that in a minute because there's a couple other questions going on that I've had, and I'm going to get to them all. I'm actually getting my tablet ready now. So one of the things I really want for the people who are becoming my fans, who I'm lucky enough to be able to say I have fans, is the fact that I don't want them to think that every campaign I'm looking for them to pay for everything, but there are some concept books. I have 2 concept books. Cat Dad and Supermom I want to put out there for a concept, not a pre-order, which means it'll help pay for the art. And Heroing by the Hour, both are concepts. Now, I'm also going to do the Kickstarter for the graphic novel for Fetish Babies, which will be more of a pre-order campaign. The difference being, by the time I get there, I don't need money for the art necessarily. And mind you, neither project has become profitable yet, despite being on Kickstarter. And that's something to understand. You don't make a book and people come running to buy it. I wish it were that simple. It's not. So when you're going to Kickstarter and you're looking at all these prices, please remember what you're investing in is the future of a creator. So don't always look at it for like a deal. You're not coming here. This isn't Walmart.com. This is Kickstarter. And I think that people need to stop trying to talk about other people making their Kickstarters cheaper and all that. Now, one of the things I like to do, and this is what I'm going to suggest to everyone to do, and if you're really worried about shipping or overpaying for a book, do a PDF. Back a Kickstarter with a PDF. So go here, back it as a PDF, right? Now, this is why it's important to do a PDF. When you back it in a PDF, yeah, sure. So I just backed Monsters to show you guys. So now you can tweet it and share it. These are important features that a lot of people don't take advantage of. You could tweet to everyone that you just backed Monsters. So I just backed Monsters, and then you can put it on Facebook. I just backed Monsters. And I always back my own campaigns. Of course, usually it's for just $1. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change it right now to an actual $1. But I wanted to show you guys to do that. So now we go here and I'm going to change my thing and I'm going to pledge $1 instead. So now the reason I say to back your own Kickstarter is because there are people who are following you. I think I have like 50 followers, 50 people who follow me on Kickstarter. So it's kind of cool. So whenever I back something, they see what I back. They get an email. It might even be 100. I haven't checked in a while. But either way, all those people now see that I've done this. So, now I've got 15 backers, technically someone, and $118, but I'm getting there. And that's with running a horrible campaign. A few things to know when you back it. That $1 didn't come out of my bank account today. That comes out on August 1st at midnight or August 2nd at midnight. $1 will come out of my banking account. So that's something a lot of people make the mistakes of, that they instantly think the money comes out. I kind of wish it did, because then at least you can see if there's a charge card issue, which does happen. It's happened to me. Don't get me wrong. I've gotten my charge cards because 3 Kickstarters go at once, but they're in different parts of the world. So different parts of the Kickstarter, I guess, international wings do it, and it causes a bit of an issue, which is weird, but it is what it is. So that's it. And I'm trying to think if there's another hint before we get to the questions. Make sure that your Kickstarters have an actual video, and I'll play you some of my video just to see my latest one. Make sure that you talk about your team. I think a lot of people make the mistake of the team. I talked to a creator about where he was putting a lot of people like to talk about where the money's going, because this is a pre-order book, or a lot of my books have been for printing. I don't really do the little graphic where it says this much is for printing and this much is for shipping, because I don't think people want to know how the cow is slaughtered. I don't think people want to know how you make the hamburger. They just want the hamburger, and they want to know that they're paying for quality. And when you do a lot of Kickstarters, you wind up showing that you're giving quality. And look, I didn't even capitalize my last name. Fortunately, the vacation, I rushed getting this done, so there are a little bit of errors I clearly have to go back and fix. Then you do want to go over it. And if you see an error, just fix it if you can. And if you can't, live with it, but at least take the opportunity. But right down here, it does the risks and challenges part. And I tell people, man, listen, when it's the truth, we're at the last part of the editing. The book is lettered. We're just editing it. This is going to go to printer once we fund, and we're going to fund. I have faith that we're going to fund. It's going to happen. But make sure that you're always talking about that. And if you've done Kickstarters, let the world know, because you're going to get new backers. Hey, this isn't my first rodeo. Look at how many books. I'm on book, technically 6 books for me. This is my 6th Kickstarter for my creations. But I've been featured in 7 other Kickstarters now. To my knowledge, except for the 4th Monkey, which is just finishing up now, everyone is delivered. And of course, I'm on right now for number 8 with the charity one. But every time I've been featured, it has been delivered. So that's 14 Kickstarters. And if it didn't deliver, I damn sure usually the other Kickstarters where I'm involved in, I've been involved in letting my book be part of a reward tier. If they didn't deliver, I would deliver. And if it wasn't a reward tier in the 4th Monkey, it was a story which is finally being delivered. So I feel very good about that. Now I want to show you a video. I'm trying to see. For some reason, oh, here it is. I think this is my 2-minute video. No, that's my 8-minute video. I think I screwed up when I made the Kickstarter, and this is an 8-minute video. But I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a listen.
Welcome to my Kickstarter video. Kickstarter videos are interesting. See this guy in the picture? That's me. But do you really need to see me talking? You want to know why you should back this Kickstarter. I'm going to tell you a story about this story and what influenced it and how it got there. I'm the creator and the writer. You guys know me. I'm the Unboxable Advocating Creator, known as Mr. Andersin. A lot of reasons for the Unboxable, and Monster became one of them. But we'll get there. Hold on. First, I want to introduce you to the amazing co-creator and artist of Monsters series. This is C. Gajardo. He graduated from the Joe Corbett School of Cartoon and Graphic Art, Inc. Gajardo sees comics as a...
Now, I definitely don't suggest an 8-minute video. I had an 8-minute and a 2-minute. I don't know where the 2-minute went. Obviously, there was an error. I think I can actually get you guys the 2-minute video on YouTube. Or you know what where it probably is? Ironically, it's probably on our site right now under Monsters. So let me see real quick if I can't find that for us. And in the meantime, let me start answering questions while I'm looking. First one we had. Okay, Tom had just said that that's good. I was wondering about that. Thank you. I wanted to know about paying my guys and gals, but also paying myself for work. Didn't know if that was right or yeah. I mean, you're a writer. You deserve to make money. If your Kickstarter does so well that there's leftovers, by all means, pay yourself, man. Why shouldn't the writer get paid? You're the writer. You're the creator. You should get paid. I also would say that. I would also say that you should be covering that. And let's see, Josh Doll. Actually, you know what? I'm going to invite Josh Doll to talk to us. We're telling him we're talking about what is a Kickstarter. Let's see if we can get him on with us. And we'll ask him what the advantages of Kickstarter, and we'll ask him a couple of the questions that you guys have been asking on social media and in here, because I know there are a couple questions I got to get to. Let me see if there's a 2-minute video here. So yeah, man, pay yourself. Is this 2 minutes or is this the 8-minute? Come on. The 2-minute. Here we go. So
hey
here's
guys,
my
it's me,
2 minutes.
Mr. Andersin. I'm that cute guy in the picture right there. I run Indie Advocates, and I am the unboxable advocating creator. This is my co-creator of Monsters, C. Gajardo. There's a bigger video at the bottom of this actual page in this Kickstarter that will explain a lot more, but this is going to be my elevator pitch to you guys. So me and Gajardo got together, and we were going to make a story about superheroes. I saw his art and was inspired by it, but didn't know if it would fit with the current story. So instead, I asked him, did he like stories about monsters? What about the classic monsters that we knew? He said, yeah, I'd be very interested in that. So I wrote him a story. That story was called And They Call Us Monsters. We took And They Call Us Monsters, agreed to do it together after writing a script and him reading it and being excited about it, and we went to Kickstarter once we were done. We got 50 amazing people to help us bring it to life. I was able to take it across the Northeast and found out people really liked the story. It was a pretty good seller. Matter of fact, people kept asking, what's next, as they'd see me again. Well, A Monster of Betrayal is next, this Kickstarter. We're so thrilled to be back on Kickstarter, so thrilled with this follow-up story. It is amazing. I think you guys will absolutely love it. We're going to introduce the Wolfman. He's an amazing character who actually uses his monsterhood to make money. He became a cosplayer. And unfortunately, the monsters are up against it this time, and someone might have sold him out. This is going to be released by Written Sins Comics. I'm so excited about it being the first book in that imprint. And we're so thrilled to say that Chuck Pino, who has his own Kickstarter right now called Welcome to the Void, now on Kickstarter, as our editor on this project and helping us bring it to life. As I said, if you guys want to know more information, please scroll down to a longer video that explains a lot more. But just so you know, this is a pre-order Kickstarter. All of our Kickstarter rewards are based upon the fact that no matter what, we're making the book. We're just offering you guys to be able to get the book through Kickstarter. The book's been done. It's been lettered. As of filming this, we're literally just editing the last of it. And by the time Kickstarter is done, we'll just go straight to the printer, if not a few days before when we know basically how many we need. We appreciate you taking the time to watch the video and hope that you consider us worth backing. My name is Mr. Anderson, and I've advocated for Monsters, Chuck, C. Gajardo, and myself. Thank you for listening.
All right, so Josh is here. Let's see if we can get Josh on camera. Now, Josh has got his own book out, which is exciting, so we can talk about Kickstarter and its importance. I'm hoping he's coming on right now. I sent him an invite, and while we're on the site, I can actually bring up his Kickstarter. I know he's in the chat room right now. I'm waiting to see if he can come on with us, but his Kickstarter, by the way, is Skies Over Superior. While we try to get him to come live with us, I'm going to play the video.
We are leaving, we are taking all we need. We have made it across, crawling on my knees.
Skies Over Superior, Issue 1 of a comic book series by Josh Dahl and Laura Burrell. Merrily Fight, a young woman living on the edge of Lake Superior discovers.
Merrily fight. You saw the beast, that thing of the lake, which is my walking prison. And now you are double cursed, 2 curses, 1 for each hateful eye. You know what's in the deep, deep dark, and your mind will never leave it. What else is out there? unknown and unspeakable. The beast has brothers, and brothers have brothers, and brothers have hunger and hate, and they are coming to snuff out all of your life. Knowing what is to come is only the first of your bruises. The second is knowing that you cannot stop it, because no one will believe.
When you support this campaign, you are paying for the efforts of the creative team, writer Josh Dahl, artist Laura Burrell, and musicians Rickolas and Opal Puckett, and to print the first run of the comics themselves. For you, there will be comics, special edition covers and art, songs, and other cool stuff. Thank you for joining us in making Skies Over Superior a reality.
All right. Now, Josh is having trouble getting in Facebook, right? So, in the meantime, while he's trying to get in, because I sent him another invite, if you have a question for him about this amazing project, let him know. For those of you watching months from now, Skies of Superior was successfully funded. And can now be bought by Josh Dow on the road. But we're going to go over a couple things. Tom wants us to look at his video and give him the... oh, wait a minute. I'm a little bit ahead. Tom says launching ours on Friday. Do you have a link to it, Tom? Your video? 'Cause in the link, I don't think it shows the video. I know you sent me a primary link, but do you have a link to just the video? I'll definitely look at it. Or if you want to show it to me off air, that's fine too. I can definitely give it a look at it for you. But if you have it on YouTube right now, we can look at it right now in the program. I'm trying to see this. All right. So James said, do you build a mailing list to Kickstarter using MailChimp? Send Graphic E subscribers. Okay. Okay. I don't like mailing lists, believe it or not. I am not a huge fan of mailing lists. I don't like email lists. But the truth is, yeah, you got to. You have to. You can't ignore that. For me, one of the ways that I've gone about not using an email list but using an AML list is the fact that we have 634 subscribers to Indie Advocates, soon to be 23,000 subscribers. So that's how I do my email list, because as you subscribe, it tells you can do that. But yeah, I definitely think it's important to have a mailing list, at least where you can do a monthly one where you can send it out. I'm trying to build one. I'm not a fan of emails because I know how many emails I get, and I don't want to be the guy who sends emails to people who don't want emails. And I know a lot of times people don't even read the emails. I think social media is still more predominant than emails, because there are emails from creators I get all the time, and I don't know if it necessarily helps. I think social media is more the way. But I definitely think you cannot ignore a mailing list. I think you need to have a mailing list. But I think you need to have a social media presence. And I think a lot of people make a mistake that they try to have a social media platform where they're Josh says that if you make them valuable, people will appreciate the emails. That's true. Don't make them just, oh, we just made this new cover. I had this one creator who kept showing me these variant covers for Marvel and DC characters for Kickstarters that weren't even around anymore. But they kept wanting you to buy their books. So they just kept once a week just showed me these sketch covers of just something. And it was like sexualized Marvel and DC characters. And I couldn't anymore, man. I was like, I just can't keep up with this anymore. It just became too much for me to deal with. And I don't want to be that person where someone thinks that I'm too much to deal with, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm just looking at the image that the video is showing on the laptops. I was trying to invite Josh Dahl, and it looked all funny. So I was reloading to make sure that you guys see the image, everything fine. Because on this, it was, oh, there we go. Yeah, it still looks funny to me on that. Maybe it's just I'm not getting a good signal on my laptop, because it looks good on my tablet. Oh, I'm on Xfinity. That's why. That should clear up the video. Give me better quality. All right. So hopefully you guys are seeing the video fine. You guys don't need to see me, by the way. The reason we're here was there was a link that I just got given, and we're going to go look at it. So, oh, you do see pixelated. Oh, I wonder what's going on with that. I wonder why we suddenly got pixelated. That's weird. Maybe it's just too long of a show for it. It's not cool that we have pixelated. Wow, that does suck. I wonder what's going on with that. Let me tap the camera. Maybe that's why one of the reasons we can't go live with you. Crap. All right, I guess we're going to have to go to a part 2. I'm going to try to end it and start it again. Yeah, come back. You know what? I'll try to start it right now. Hold on. Let me see if I can't start it on the... Maybe it's just the phone is too hot. I think that it might be overheating at the moment. So let me try this. I'm going to set up to go live. So you guys switch back over right away. I'm typing it now. Sorry about this, YouTube. I know they get that those of you watching this as a canned version are like, what's happening? What is Kickstarter? This is a Facebook feed issue, so I'll keep it open on my end and then reopen it on the other ones. So, all right, so I'm going to finish this video and we'll be right back. I think it's just this camera's overheated. So we're still live with YouTube. All right, sorry. It's what happens when you do things live. Sometimes things go wrong. We're going to try to get everyone back again. Oh, I think I've got that rock orientation again. Oh, I don't, actually. It's just not. Dope. We're going to have to delete that. All right, so let's try to go live again. See if we can't flip it. All right. All right, for some reason, this one won't let me do as much of an orientation. So this one's going to be funny. This is my older phone. So I'm just going to bring you guys on to here, and I'll be able to talk to you, and we'll look at it that way. If you guys want, there's a YouTube thing going right now, so you guys should be coming on. I'm just going to invite Josh Dahl into this, and maybe we can get Josh to join us with this at this point. All right. So I got Josh Dahl hopefully coming in right now. And this is a part 2, by the way. The camera overheated and was sending a pixelated mess that I hopefully have now circumvented. And you guys can see a solid video because I don't see it on my side. So it wasn't an issue for me. But I'm hoping that you guys do not have an issue right now. Oh, you know what the problem is? I know what it is. Excuse me, guys. I'm on the wrong profile. I actually wound up on my other profile. Well, not my other profile. My ex-wife stopped using her profile, which was connected to the fetish babies. So we still have it. I use it to promote fetish babies. But she kind of is walking away from the project, you know, divorce and all that stuff. Sometimes it's better to just distance yourself. But that's a video for a whole different day. I feel like we're getting so off track because of what's going on. And I hate that feeling. I promise I'm trying to get us there as quick as possible. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. All right. All right, guys. I'm hoping we're back now. I'm going to try to add people as soon as I can. There we go. Think we're live. Sorry, we're dealing. I think that I was on too much, so I'm not able to do it, and I'm on my older phone, and for some reason the older phone does not work as well as the newer iPhone anymore. I'm not exactly sure. Something about the new software update never got it good, so hopefully Josh is coming back. I still have the other video up so I can continue to answer those questions. I'm hoping I solved the pixelated that we were having. Poor YouTube audience. If you're watching this in the future, you guys are seeing the struggles I had. Okay, I see a strong video. Okay, looks better now. I'm getting it. Okay, cool. Let me see if I can bring Josh on. Let's see if Josh can actually show up this time. I'm inviting him. We'll see if Josh can actually show up this time for us. Oh, Josh is on. What's going on, Josh? Josh, can you hear me? Let's see what's going on. Josh, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hold on. Can you wait 1 minute? Oh. How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you pretty good.
All right, there we go. Okay, so we got Josh on. I don't know what happened, but that's technology, right?
Yeah, no, that was on my end. It's not worth explaining. It was just some stupid glitch that was keeping me from pressing the button that says yes, join.
All right, so
that stopped happening. So here I am.
Cool. Tell us why Kickstarter is important to you.
Kickstarter is important to me because it allows the independent creator to reach out to their audience, their willing audience, to make things happen.
And do you think that you should, when you do your Kickstarter, and we'll actually go check out your Kickstarter now that we finally got you on, did you feel pressure to price your comics to be, what is the word? A value. Do you feel like your books need to be a value as a creator on Kickstarter?
Yes and no. I mean, on one hand, people who are already on the Kickstarter website know that part of what they are doing is reaching into their pocket to support independent creators. So people who are doing that are not just looking for the best value, right? They are there to help creators, and help means a little bit of money. That's what the whole thing is about. So it does, you can't charge $50 for a sketch, right? It's not that much, but it doesn't need to be a bargain.
It's funny you said that about a sketch. Like, I had an argument, not like a respectable one, a debate. We'll call it a debate with a creator. And he said, well, I priced my books at $5. And I called him out on it. I'm like, yeah, you priced your books for $5 and your books are only 22 pages. He's like, yeah. I was like, that when you go to your upper tiers, you're charging $300 for a custom print. Don't you feel like you're taking advantage of your friends with that? So I think everyone who's trying to talk about value also doesn't necessarily always see the other side of it, if that makes sense. That you can't.
I don't think that's taking advantage unless you pressure your friends to buy that. I mean, I know artists who have people lining up and waiting to buy their prints. So, thanks, Kelly. I know people who are lining up. So, look, if it's worth it, they'll pay for it. If it's not, they won't.
Well, that's what I was.
If you could charge $600 for a print and someone's going to pay it, charge it. Unless it's your mom every time, in which case, recalibrate.
Well, that was my point to the creator. If you're willing to charge that, shouldn't I be able to charge $10 for my $32 page comic book that I think is really worth $10 at this point? because until
certainly.
you know, and that was the point I made to him. I'm like, you can't call a $10 comic book a ripoff if it really cost us, because you know, as a creator, our books do cost more to make than our books do cost more to make than Marvel and DC.
Oh, no question. And we don't sell advertising, and we have lower distribution. I mean, yeah, every part of it.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand that. I was saying that about Kickstarter. So tell us about your Kickstarter while you're on, because you're finally here. Tell us about Skies.
I can't turn the music off right here. I'm at the lovely Cambridge Brewing Company having, this is a beer called The Fog That Surrounds, and it is wonderful. But unfortunately, that means that the music is not in my control. So sorry about that. My Kickstarter is Skies Over Superior at www.skiesoversuperior.com. And it is, oh, there it is. There's that picture of Marilyn. It's a story about a girl on the edge of Lake Superior in far northern Michigan who discovers that monsters are approaching. They're crossing Lake Superior to destroy all civilization. And she takes on the task of stopping them.
Now, you did something cool with the music. Speaking of music, right?
Yes. My artist, Laura Burrell, is friends with a musician named Nicholas, who I had not heard of before, but he is a big deal in some circles and is a fantastic musician as far as I'm concerned. He recorded not just a song for the comic, but a song from the comic. In issue 1, Marilee discovers a recording of her father singing a song, and the recording that Nicholas wrote and sang and recorded is the recording from the comic. And that's just the beginning. After that, I got in touch with another musician, Jonathan Pardo of Opal Puckett, and I gave him the comic and he loved it and just started recording songs. And those songs are all going to be part of the Kickstarter.
That is so cool. I really, really dig that.
And if I could add to that, not only are the songs going to be part of the Kickstarter, but each song will have its own piece of album style cover artwork. And the reward packages involve song and the cover for the song and the cover for the song, and there's 5 different song and cover packages.
That's very cool, and I'm excited about this, man. I remember seeing this at C2E2. People were literally trying to buy the concept book off of you at C2E2. They were so excited about it.
Jumping up. That cover artwork, that image right there of Marilee standing on the ice with the monsters behind her is just so gorgeous. People, they very rightfully can't resist it.
Now, I know we're catching you while you're out and about, but do you have a couple minutes to answer some questions that we've been going over today about Kickstarter?
I think that I do. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. One of the questions that recently came up, and I think you actually talked to me about this, but since this video will be watched later,
sure.
Do you consider Kickstarter to be dying? And this was one of those things that I couldn't believe we had to talk about, but we brought the debate. To you, is Kickstarter at all dying? Has Kickstarter reached its plateau? Is it the end of the platform?
No, oh boy, Rob, I'm going to get myself in trouble for this. I think anyone who's saying that is trying to justify why their Kickstarter failed. I mean, it might be going through little ebbs and flows. It might be that the same tricks that worked the first time aren't working anymore. Maybe the Kickstarter audience is changing a little bit. I don't know about that exactly, but dying, I don't see that. I see dozens and dozens of projects posted. I see dozens and dozens of projects funding. I don't even know what that means. Why would anyone say it's dying?
I think people, and this is the truth, people are noticing it's harder to make money on Kickstarter, and that is true right now. Truth be told, it is harder to get. Like a year ago, I was noticing things got that funded faster, but I think that goes into Facebook's different. We talked about that. Facebook's a different monster this year than it was last year at this time.
Oh, sure.
You know, and you had said the famous line that for what Kickstarter does for me, I would pay a monthly subscription fee. And that's something we forget what Facebook does for us for free.
Right. Yes.
So that's something. And speaking of that, do you do Facebook ads for your project currently?
I do. I have one up right now because Facebook offered me like a free coupon to run one. Right now, I don't think I can really afford to run ads that would be effective. I know that Facebook ads are effective, but you got to know how to do it. And I do know how to do it, but I know that it's probably going to cost a little more money than I can drop on it right now. Hey, Brayson, thanks for watching. And you other guys.
Now, a big question that I always get asked is about shipping. And I noticed in your Kickstarter, you don't put a shipping bracket in the where does the money go. Can you explain to people how much the shipping affects people who are going to go to Kickstarter? Because I don't think people really realize how quickly shipping can kill a Kickstarter.
Oh, shipping is a monster. Shipping is a monster. Comics cost way more than you think to ship things. You forget how expensive things are because you haven't mailed anything in a long time. But a $3 or $4 or $5 comic book costs $3 to ship, and that's not 100%, but count on that. And yeah, that kills you. I have a reward tier where I want to get to retailers, where I'm pretty much just eating the shipping, and it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't stress enough how much you have to be worried about shipping, because it really can come back. And I've had a lot of friends who have literally had to go deep into pockets to ship the Kickstarter because they didn't realize shipping costs. Have you ran into any problems with media mail shipping? Because I know some creators who have.
Yeah, you can't do media mail. It's not really a real thing. Media mail excludes. You can't even have in-house ads within your media. So it has to be just pure. Media mail is designed for academic journals, and if you can fit close enough to it, and you have a postal inspector who isn't carefully inspecting, you might be able to ship media mail, but I would never count on it.
Yeah, that's definitely become a problem. Now, one of the things that I suggest, and I think you've heard me say this when we were in person, because we've shared tables for those who don't know. Josh is a good friend of mine. We're going to be together in Baltimore this fall, right before New York Comic Con. You're at New York Comic Con this year as a pro?
I am pro pass. I'll be on the floor. I don't have a table. But okay. I didn't have a table last year, and I wound up with a table, so, you never know. Roll the dice.
True story. So one of the things I say to everyone, because you go to a lot of cons like me, I encourage people to back people on PDF levels and then buy the book from them at the table. Would you think that's a good concept to have for some people who don't want to pay for shipping? Because I know shipping, some people just don't want to pay for it.
Oh, I mean, if that is an option, if you're pretty sure you're going to see that person at some point, oh, absolutely.
Well,
I mean, all my local stuff. Anyone who's in Massachusetts or who I'm going to see at a convention somewhere, instead of shipping them, I'll just contact them and say, I'll drop it off at your comic shop. I'll bring it to that's way easier than shipping.
All right, Josh. I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for.
Can we talk to James Ross for a minute, who just commented? Yeah, to play devil's advocate, 5 years ago, Kickstarter creators could wander in and get $20,000 of backing. Now they have to really hustle for $5K. I hate to call you out, but I'd like to see some examples of that. I don't know of anyone who walked in and got $20K. I have a feeling that the creators who got $20K really hustled for it back in the day. I think that it was a little bit the Wild West. No one knew what was going on, but there aren't many creators that just walked in and said, I have an idea for a comic, and got $20K. I bet those creators really put a solid product out there that was in some way worth that $20K.
I would have to agree with you on that, but I do think on the same foot, there were probably some early day creators who got away with putting out subpar work.
Oh, sure.
Because we deal with that now as creators.
The first 100 comics that were on Kickstarter were surely like a new, it can be used for comics. Let's check this out. Somebody's doing a comic on Kickstarter. Let's go see. Yeah, sure, that happened.
but I agree with you. I think that you have to have hustle to get 20K.
Hey, there's Keith. Hey, Keith, we were just talking about you. Thanks for that tape on your Comic Con, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right, so I don't want to hold you up. Is there anything else you wanted to add about your Kickstarter?
Just that I added retail levels. We added a whole bunch of new art tiers. Laura Burl, who's an amazing artist, just added some portrait or custom portrait levels. And a thing that I rarely see on comic book Kickstarters, she added custom comic pages. So for $200, you can get, she'll do an actual full color custom page in the style of Skies Over Superior of you or whatever content you want. So that is a really cool reward level. We've already had one of them taken up on, again, that's a full color comic book page of whatever content you want. And oh, I see my lovely girlfriend coming. So I got to jump off this live. Go to Skies Over Kicks. I almost said Skies Over Kickstarter. SkiesOverSuperior.com. And yeah, any last questions?
Nah, man. I look forward to talking to you soon, and we'll talk more in the week about Kickstarters. I'm sure one of us will jump on the other's video. So have a great night, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right, later. All right, now I'm going to get back to everyone's questions. I'm going to try to refocus the camera as Josh leaves us for the evening. I hope he has a wonderful night. Looks like he's having fun. We're just going to take him off so he can enjoy some privacy. And I'm going to get to all the questions now. It was great having Josh. Josh, of course, is a great advocate for indie comics, but I know there were a lot of questions, so let's get to the questions. Tom had said, let me see. Let me get to it. James asked me, what is a concept book? Okay, that's a good question. So here's a concept book. I made Jax the Andersin, and no matter what I was going to do, I was going to make Jax the Andersin. Fetish Babies, same thing. No matter what happened, I was going to make Fetish Babies. If I failed Kickstarter, I was going to make it. With the And They Call Us Monsters, it was different. I was going to be taking basically a property that I didn't own, and no one owns monsters anymore. It's a free use property. But I was going to take them and I was going to make them humans and be giving them the genetic disorders. I didn't know if people were going to like it or not, until I got it to the Comic-Con highway with these books. To be honest with you guys, I didn't know if anyone was going to like it, because when I ran this, it was in the middle of a hurricane and I couldn't communicate with people. It was the worst time to have a Kickstarter going, and I was about to launch Fetish Babies, and it was honestly truly horrible. And it was a concept for me at that point. I didn't know if it was going to have legs. I loved it, but I didn't know if people were going to back it. So I put it out, and I think that our goal was, if we go back to the page, was a lot lower than what we made. Okay, so it doesn't actually tell me how much. Oh yeah, it does. We got 118%. So that means more than likely my funding goal was 750. I didn't know how many books I was going to print. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I was going to make it. But it was also a concept. So because it was a concept, I kind of made it lower. I didn't want to. A concept to me, when you do a concept book, is I don't know if this is going to have legs. I need you to help me build this. Fetish Babies was never a concept to me. I knew it was something I wanted. I knew I wanted 1,000 prints. Jax the Andersin, I was going to print 1,000 of those, and I don't care if I keep 1,000. That's my son. So I didn't care about that. But Project Earth, I didn't know how people were going to react. I didn't know how many books I was going to print. I didn't know what I was going to do. And when I saw people backing it, I knew it had legs. I was like, cool, let's do that. And you guys can see, even after almost 100 backers of Fetish Babies 1, I never saw the same amount on the next two Kickstarters. That was a lot more my fault. And even with Monsters, I'm not advocating it enough. So I do think that you have to go to what James had said, even with a concept. And a concept is something brand new. And speaking of brand new, while I'm talking about this, let's let's get the old man video up here so we can watch it in a second from Tom. We're going to watch this live for the first time. A concept to me is a book where it is something new. You haven't established it. No one knows about it as much. Like Fetish Babies, I'd promoted. And They Call Us Monsters. We began working on that, I believe, July. And we're kickstarting it in September because the Irma was happening. So there was no time in between to promote it. So it became a concept book where it was this concept that we really hadn't had time to really build. And for Heroing by the Hour, that's going to be a concept, and it's going to be my next Kickstarter. No one knows a lot about it because I haven't had a lot of time to talk about it. While Cat Dad and Supermom will be a printing-only book, which would be helpful to have some of the art paid for, but it'll be for printing only because people have established it. So to me, a concept book is something you have to try even harder to promote when the Kickstarter is launching because you haven't built it. Most Kickstarters, you should spend about 6 months to a year promoting before you launch a property to really get a huge backing behind it. And when you're under 6 months, I consider that a concept book where you're now asking people to help you build something, if that makes sense. We're going to watch this video. We're going to get back some questions, but we're going to tell Tom what we think of this. Let me get that.
It's here. The end. The end, they called it. The gods of old have fallen from the sky, burning as they fell. The fallen ones, rotten, evil, corrupt, violent. 15 years have gone by now, and they control the cities, and the people, they are controlled like puppets. Lucifer, at the head, in control of all other fallen, and the armies is building and waiting to strike. A war for the ages, one with which the world has never seen. Follow Tom Redka as he unfolds the story of Orion, Ezekiel, Sarah, and Lucifer. Old Man of the Mountain, Issue 1. Get it now.
All right. I don't know if Tom's actually still with us. I hope he is. I'm going to just tell him right now we just watched it, just in case he had to bounce out. So, what did you all think of that? I liked it. I thought that it was a good video. That's going to Kickstarter July 13th. I liked it. A little slow, but it made sense with the art that streams. So I think that'll really resonate with what's going on. And I'm just going to show you guys. We're going to stroll some of these as I'm asking questions. These are all things that are on Kickstarter right now. And one thing I do want to do before we get into the question is I really want you guys to remember to tell people about the importance of backing your project and how $1 can make a difference. And here's a line to ask every one of your friends when they're like, oh, I don't have a lot of money right now, dude, or I'd back it. And you could just tell them this. Well, if you believe in me as a creator, isn't that worth a single dollar? Can you spare $1 to show your belief in me to others? And that's a great line. It's my line. It was from a friend who had missed his Kickstarter on his goal by like $400. And he had like 4,500 friends. And he had said to me, if every one of them had just given $1, I would have never had a problem making this Kickstarter. And that always stuck with me. So it is true. No matter how many friends you have on Facebook, I have 3,000 friends. You guys saw my Kickstarter. I have 18 backers. Do not expect people to back it because they hit a friendship button on you. It's true. It's true. I'm sorry. That's a reality. Sometimes your friends don't even know you're on Kickstarter. I have friends who literally show up at my table right now and they go, dude, when did this book come out? It's Facebook. It's social media. So much is going on. And you don't want to tag your friends in everything. You don't want to be that guy. To all my friends who I know follow my books and have bought my books, I do send them a message now. But if I don't know you, I don't send you a message. And if I don't know, and by know you, I mean we've had meals together. I've talked to you in great lengths, not just on Facebook, but sometime even in Messenger. I've talked to Tom on Messenger. Travis knows who I am. So, like, some people who are my friends, I'll tag you. I will, because I think as a friend, hey, look what I'm doing. Give me your opinion. I don't even necessarily expect my friends to back me. Sometimes I just say, hey, did I screw up here? Do you see something that's fucked up? Especially with my dyslexia. I'd like that. And remember that if you guys want to do this, right, listening to people like Dirk Manning with Right or Wrong, or specifically for Kickstarters, there's Madeline Holly Rosing's book, crowdfunding, and there's a whole list of books you should be reading, including Josh Blaylock's Creating Comics and Beyond book that he has. And let me just call that up real quick. I want to get, I believe we have it in the must read. Oh man, I didn't even think about. We'll go real quick to this because I want to get the name right, because it's important that you guys also are getting. Damn it, I totally did his name wrong. Blaylock. Oh, damn it, again wrong. I think it autocorrected when I wasn't looking. That, or I have so used to typing in black for some reason. Probably because of my favorite color. So I'm goth and dark. I'm spelling his name wrong, so I'm just gonna put Josh. We're gonna get. Oh, there it is. No, it's not. No, I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm spelling it wrong. Here we go. Josh. Josh does make better comics also, by the way. Where is it? We had this whole. Oh, I'm an idiot. I should have just typed in must read in the search parameters, because it's in the must read list. So must read. I can't believe how long this video went. I honestly thought that I might have to make a 15-minute tutorial about what Kickstarter is. I mean, I love talking to you guys. Here it is: how to self-publish comic books, not just create them. The Master Edition, available on Amazon. So I'm going to go back to Kickstarters, and we're going to finish answering all these questions. All right. So Travis Gibbs says, I am thinking of postponing my books for colors. What do you think? The risk versus the rewards on that? Travis, I think you shouldn't postpone it. I think you should just add time to delivery. Look, just be honest when people are going to get the books. I do. Let me tell you, building in extra time saved me with Mentor Search. We're still going to be a little late, but despite being late, I told people we were going to add art and it might be a little late. So I was honest from the beginning. If you're honest from the beginning, I think you're fine, honestly. Tom asked if the video was good. It is. He wanted it to be good before the launch, and it was good, man. You did good. I'm reading from the old one, too. Okay. I don't have programs for videos. You did good for what you did, man. And no one expects you to have a perfect video. Sometimes I think the videos are too perfect and they're not down to earth enough, if that makes sense, because people want to see the creative team, and make sure your creative team is spoken about, if not shown. And that's it for all these. Okay. All right. So there was a problem with the video, so we switched over. So now I can go to the video and we can start talking about the questions there. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to jump in and ask right now as I reload so I can see this new video we have and get all the comments. So here we go. Okay. All right. So in this video, I'm gonna stroll down to the bottom and tell you all the things that I've seen said and answer any questions that we've had. It's sometimes harder because the software for Facebook doesn't always show them to me. Let's see if I can get all the comments up here. Oh, man. All right. I don't think it's showing me every one of the comments. There it goes. Okay. So let's see. All right. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. Okay. Can you market it on Bandcamp, SoundCloud for the music for that? All right. So we talked about that. So James said, yeah, I exaggerated with my figures of speech and examples I'm thinking of were solid projects, but I'm talking about the level of marketing hustle required now versus then. That's a good point, and that's actually something I tell people all the time. There was almost this feeling like in the beginning of Kickstarter when I first started doing comic books as a build it and they will come feeling, like all you had to do was make a Kickstarter and people would be interested in it because it was new. That's definitely gone away. The way that Kickstarter allows you to share stuff has changed. It is definitely a lot different than it was. People also have less of attention span, and that makes things different. James also went on to say, I do think realistically there's a big difference in the level of KS platform organic backing a project will get versus now. Probably to the non-Kickstarter organic backing for projects now, i.e. backers have to do all their own marketing and not rely on funding on Kickstarter. That's all makes sense. And he said that makes sense in the concept book, which that you know, it's what I consider a concept book, you know, something that is still in a concept phase and hasn't been made a brand. And brand is very important. You want to get your brand out there. That's why I consider and call myself the unboxable advocating creator, because how do you brand someone who's making fetish books and books about children's books and all that? So yeah, there's that. So I'm trying to see if there's any other comments or questions that I can answer for you guys. I'll scroll this so you guys can keep reading while I'm looking. Let's see. Does marketing a Kickstarter 6 months ahead of time take down the excitement of the launch, and where are those willing to share? Well, that depends. This is from Dan Sheen. All right, so if you're overdoing it, yes, people are gonna be tired of hearing about your project. But if you're doing it like with Fetish Babies, I started with just a simple thing in 2015 as a Kickstarter. I mean, as a handout in a comic book. In 2016, I kept talking about how it was coming slowly by giving little drips and drabs, talking about it, having it a Facebook event, not event page, but an actual group. So I built an organic audience with it, and I continued it slowly. I gave updates. It became about engaging with the fan. It wasn't just I have a Kickstarter coming and made it simple. It was something more complicated. It was building a market audience, talking to people. If you address it that way, where you talk to people, develop the characters, and talk about your concepts, I do think you'll be fine with starting 6 months. And as a matter of fact, I suggest 6 months to a year ahead to get the best answer possible. And yes, Travis, we did get to your question. I hope it answered it. I hope you launch sooner than later, because it's easier to get the Kickstarter started. And with the excitement, sometimes you'll get more colors done. But just be honest with people when you launch a Kickstarter and it's not ready. Tell people we're not ready, so this might have delays. Life happens. Julia said the music choices lined up, and of course that was probably in reference to Josh's amazing Kickstarter. James said, I think it does to an extent, especially if the creators spam Facebook forums day after day. And that's something you don't want to do. Do not, and I talk about this now. While I'm running my Kickstarter right now, I do weekly things. The first week was kickstarting it while I'm on vacation. I didn't expect to be saying a lot about it. I didn't want to show a lot about it. But in week 2, we have some brand new crossovers starting. So it's a concept. Every week will be a different way I talk about it. The first week was support the independence of monsters. Are you a firm supporter of monster rights? Because of July 4th. So find a way to make it fun and engage your audience. Travis says there is a lag. I guess there was a lag in the video at one point. Hopefully the lag is gone. I see us so far okay, so I'm hoping the lag is gone at this point. Let's see, Travis has a video for us to watch, so let's see if we can't actually get that. All right, we got a video to watch for Travis, so let's see Travis's video. Oops. Now this is a different Travis. This is Travis Gibb, by the way. So this is the cast. This is for the next time. And I've actually read this book, and I actually really enjoyed it. He'd asked me for my opinion on it, and I liked it, man. It's interesting. It made me want to know what's next. The only thing I'd ask Travis is, are you making sure that that song's not copywritten? Otherwise, I really like the video. So far, I mean, I dig it. The one thing I like in videos, and this is just a me thing, I like hearing a creator's voice. I don't like when a creator's voice isn't present, or at least someone narrating it. I think narrating it really adds something to it, but that's just me. I could be wrong. People might like something different. Ooh, most dangerous prison inmates in the world. That was kind of shocking. But yeah, man, I like when the people's voices are listed in the or are heard, I should say, not listed but heard. I think that adds something to it. So thank you for sharing that, Travis. That'll look awesome. And for you guys watching this months later, that was actually a successful Kickstarter that got funded. Tom asked me, what do I mean by branding? Well, think of branding like this, Tom. Coca-Cola. I say Coca-Cola, you know what it is. That's a brand. You in this day and age have to be a brand. When someone thinks of Mr. Andersin, I want them to think of Written Sins. I want them to think of Fetish Babies. I want them to think of my monsters. Because now I call it monsters because we're not just and they call us monsters. Now it's monsters. Every book is part of the monsters series. Fetish Babies will become part of the Fetishism Tales. These are things that I want associated with me, so that becomes a brand. I learned very quickly in indie comics that you become a brand this day and age. You're no longer just a creator, and you can't just make your comic books the brand, because when you go into Kickstarter and you go into the show, you can't just put a book on a table and make the book sell itself. You're there selling the book, or you have someone there. You've become a brand. So what is your brand? What is your pitch? How do you tell people who you are? For me, it became difficult. People asked me who I was. I was the guy who ran Written Sins. I was someone who liked to help other people. I liked to create comic books about fetish, and then I liked the kids' story, and those didn't mix well. But then I started to... My ex-wife said, you're always out there advocating for people. And it really hit me. I was like, I am. I'm like an indie advocator. And someone else had said that I was an indie advocator. And I really liked how that sounded. So we actually renamed an entire site, Written Sins Indie Advocates. So that became a brand in itself. Written Sins is now my brand because it's most associated with it, because stories are written from sins. But... or they try to... it's sin is always in a story. You're trying to talk about it, advance on it. You're trying to correct it. You're trying to enjoy it. Whatever it is, the sin is part of your story. So that was harder to explain. So I wanted a brand that made sense. So the brand that made sense was the Unboxable Advocating Creator. And when I say that, people kind of instantly know, oh, Unboxable. That means that he doesn't really... he's different. There's something unique about him, which then when I tell them I'm the Unboxable Advocating Creator, hi, I'm Mr. Andersin. I write Fetish Babies. I write, and they call us monsters, and now monsters books, which we now have. The monsters are back in the Monsters of Betrayal. I do Jackson Anderson. Soon we'll be adding Heroing by the Hour. We'll be adding Cat Dad and Supermom, and there are a few other projects I'm working on. One of them not even being my own. I'm actually working on what's for someone else. So to have that brand, if I say that after I say the Unboxable, anything I say next, you're going to be open to hearing. But if I said I'm Priest Rob and I make Fetish Babies, you wouldn't... when I said that, you'd be like, wait, what? What? But if I say Unboxable and I say Fetish Babies, you're like, all right, what's fetish? It's about letting people know what's next. And some people will hear that and be like, oh, I don't like that. That worries me. I just want to know where the anime is. That way, sir, point them down to the anime writer. So you want to be able to tell people who you are very quickly so they know what they're getting involved in when they're backing you. So I hope that answers that question as best. That's your brand. Know your brand. Know how to market yourself. Let's see. Travis, Tom said, very nice, Travis. Maybe a tiny bit more time to read what's on there. That's a good point. There will be one of two videos. I'll be doing both. That's smart, Travis. I do that right now, or at least I should be. Obviously, I have to fix my Kickstarter because it has 2 8-minute videos. Dan Sheen says, looks cool, Travis. I did a couple stories with Felix Navarro in the years past. Felix looked like he was doing good stuff. And that's it. That's the end of the questions. Thank you for hanging in with me. This was actually a longer video than I ever expected it to be. We had some technical difficulties. We're on a second live video. This is going to take a while to cook and to render so I can put it on the site. But it was exciting to hang out with you guys today. I really appreciate it. We got to see Tom's stuff. We got to have Josh Stahl with us. I hope you guys understand Kickstarter a little bit better. And I think I'm going to hop on and do maybe later down the road or maybe not tonight because I'm a little talked out right now. But after this talk, I think I've got a better idea for what people might want. So we might do a more condensed one or maybe leave this because, I mean, this one was very informative. I like the fact that questions were asked and got answered. I like the fact that we were able to talk about things more. Travis said, really, Dan? And I guess they were talking about Felix working with them. So that's cool. You're welcome, Jane. I know you guys have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll get you the answers. But remember, Kickstarter, despite what the common noise lately is that you have to give value to a Kickstarter, that is not true. I won't be giving value on Kickstarter. I'll be giving value on the Comic-Con highway because I'm hoping people believe enough in me and Kickstarter to help me get to that point. PDFs are a great thing to push on your Kickstarters. If people don't want to pay for shipping, let them pay for the PDF. Let them read, because the goal is to have your book read, not to make money. Making money happens later. And I try to stress this to everyone. You're not on Kickstarter to make money. And if you're looking at it as a way to make money, you're doing something wrong. You want to be able to get money to print books, to be able to get them at your table. And if you have extra money, to go back to Tom's point, you should be buying Comic-Con tables. You should be going to events. That's how you build a fan base. Forget a mailing list. Get to know people, engage with people, and they will buy your books if you prove that you are worth it. And trust me, I see returning people now. People show up at my table. Rob, what do you have that's new? So you have to be ready with what's new. If you're doing one book a year and you're going to Kickstarter, God bless. Kickstarter's your home. Do whatever you want. Make a $5 comic book. You're not on the road. You're not paying for hotels. You're not going to different events. You don't have to pay for your food while you're on the road. You don't have to pay for traveling if costs. You're not even paying for a table because you're staying at home and you're selling it from home. If you're a creator who's doing this to get their books read, you have to be in this for the long haul. It's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to have a lot of costs. So do not try to undercut yourself trying to compete with other people when you're making a book. Don't ask for too much, like Josh Dahl said. Don't ask, like when I did $15, shipping was included. Don't forget that. And plus, my books are 32 pages. That means I'm giving a book and a half for most people. Most people aren't giving 32-page books. Dan Shin said, yes, you can look up Havoc Patrol from Argo Comics as well as Argo #5. Argo is a great series, by the way. Dan Sheen does some great stuff with that. So if you guys have any more questions, always feel free to ask me. I'm going to be reading a book about Kickstarters, and I'll see if there's anything I didn't know. It's hard. We're always changing. You're always adapting. You want to do what's best for your fan base. You guys can notice I didn't really promote my last one, any T-shirts. They're there, but I'm not really heavily centric on them. I do have a different thing I want to try this time. I'm going to be doing some 8x10s, adding them on as incentives and trying to get people to promote it. Since I'm going to be playing up the cosplay for you who stuck it out so long and watched it with me. But that's it. This has been the news for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for joining back on a second video. Thank you for the questions, the comments. Thank you. Special thank you to Josh Dahl, who finally was able to come on to the second video. Sorry about the problem we had with the first one. My second phone's about to die, so I don't want to start a third video. So I'm going to head out. If you guys have any questions, obviously ask us. Tom will be live this Friday the 13th. Travis, I hope to see your Kickstarter on sooner than later. And I think that's it. That's it for me, guys. I will talk to you all later. Thank you for tuning in. And this has been a Sunday night special of Indie News. Overcooked. Hey, why is this 80 degrees? Oh, because you turned the temperature up? 78 right now. I told you it gets expensive, right? The trick, honestly, is to try to get the house as cold as you can. There's no sun. Lower it at night when you go to bed. Then when you wake up, you put it back up. You know what I mean? Probably not. Even though it has some vampire stuff, it's also very deep. It doesn't get that dark. Oh, he likes it. I didn't with pesto. He'll eat that now.
days of our lives.
They're cheap. Before they blew up. They probably promised them they were going to spend a lot of money on it, and then didn't. You can see this is cheaply done. This probably had cuts to the budget, so they got cheaper items. But hey, plastic was big like underwear too. They come off with Wolf was good though. He was good. I thought he did excellent stuff. I remember Igor was like huge. It was the only thing people were like, maybe Jack was engaged, but it wasn't his fault. It was a story. Even Kate got some shit. This hurt her career.
Have you seen my iPad?
Living room.
Okay.
Should be.
It just needs a charging. Jordy, do you want some of this chicken?
Oh. So far, nothing from her. Roxy had a bladder burst, so she peed on the floor. Yeah, but with her hips the way they are, that's kind of to be expected now. We might have some accidents here and there. Okay, Chase, this week, by the way, got 8. I didn't say that. And then the guys will double hit, didn't know. We didn't pay it all.
came home, he started setting up. Sure, you saw it. He started setting everything back up the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, be free. And why were things in a cloth then? Remember to put them away next time. So you don't.
Do you want to try to put your shirt in?
No, I'm wearing it.
Okay.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Hey, is my ship supposed to come back soon?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that if you'd seen anything.
No,
Yeah,
I
well.
haven't been watching your telly.
Neither have I. You gotta look on demand.
Now, right?
What's that?
That'd be us watching on Hulu now, right?
You can do it on DirecTV in the room. Or on the road. But yeah, Hulu might have it. I also think they tried to overcomplicate his character. And Elsie. The whole I don't remember my past. They just made it. They weren't. They were trying to do sequels with this. That was it. He did get him come back. They don't kill off his character. But they definitely kind of